long. This is how a Parli debate basically goes. Your format is you have the first AF speaker, the first neg speaker, second AF, second neg, and then the third AF. Well, this is the third neg speech, second speaker. So basically, the way it works, it doesn't actually go specifically back and forth, back and forth. There's a bit of messing with that format that you have. So I'm just going to go over each and what you do in them. So if you're the affirmative, if you get the affirmative for a resolution, then you're going to start here with the first AF speech, with the first partner, and your time is 7 minutes. This is probably the most, or the second most important AF speech, and it has to be the most eloquent in the sense that it's less about the debate in this case and more about kind of talking about the resolution philosophically, etc. And you actually have to get a lot into your first speech. It's one of the most difficult ones. Now, the reason that the 7-minute time limit is going to be an issue for you is that while normally it's just 3 constructive arguments, but here, as you notice, you have a lot of other stuff you have to do as the first AF speech, which makes it more complicated. So you have to start with an intro, where you thank the judges and your opponents for making the debate possible. Then you're going to want to go over the resolution, just reading it aloud, or saying, our resolution for today is that blah, 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 and you want to say which side that you're on. You want to say, hey, we believe that the affirmative for this resolution is completely correct. That's all basic, formality. The judge is going to know if you're the AF or the neg, but that's just part of the speech that you have to give. Then you have to provide your definitions. Now this is extremely important, and your definitions will actually shape the round. What you can do is define terms in the resolution, and don't be dumb and define the United States government as the government of the United States. Just define things like social change or upward mobility, things like that. Take those terms and define them in a way that helps your argument, which you're going to see in another video I make, how you make out your argument in those 15 to 20 minutes you have. You want your definitions to make it so that it either boxes in your opponent and they can't bring up things that are outside that definition, or you want to open up the resolution to certain things that maybe your opponents didn't think about when they were planning. So your definitions are extremely important, all of the important terms for the round. Next, you have the weighing mechanism. Now, this is optional, but it will bring up a voting issue. So it'll help your case if you can think of a good one for your case, but it's not absolutely necessary. The way a weighing mechanism works is that you provide a yes or no voting issue for the round where you say, we would like to, say you're talking about education and increasing class sizes or whatever, and you say, we would like the weighing mechanism for this round, and that's a specific thing that you can set, and it has a set value. We would like the weighing mechanism to be quality of education. That means that any plan provided by us or by the opponents has to maintain quality of education to be viewed as successful in the context of this round. So that's what you can do with a weighing mechanism. Now you get to the important part. So all of that should have taken maybe 1 to 2 minutes max. So you're kind of not spending too much time there. You're just saying those definitions. Here's where the meat, the major chunk of those 7 minutes is. I said 4 to 7 of those minutes is these 3 constructive arguments. Now you can actually have more than 3 if you can think of them, but at minimum you want to have 3. So you're sitting in the preparation room before the round, and you've come up with 3 for the first speech. You're going to have more, but 3 for the first speech, important arguments that support the affirmation of the bill. And you want to spend time fleshing them out. You want to talk about why they're important, why they apply directly to this resolution, etc. So give those arguments. So then your 7 minutes will run out, and you're going to move to the first neg speech. Now I'm going to assume you're also the neg speaker. So say you're the neg, and you hear this first speech that's just been given by your opposition. You have a couple of options. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to briefly restate the resolution or briefly refresh it and state your own side. Say, we are discussing this, and this is the side that we are taking. Now, you actually have another thing that you can do here, which is you can counter their definitions and counter their weighing mechanisms. You can say, we believe that their definition is inadequate because it does this, this, and this. You can get out of your hole that way, but you have to be careful because the judge is going to pick either the AF's definitions or the neg's definitions to judge the round by. And if you don't give better reasoning for yours than they do, then you're going to continue the round based on your definitions, but the judge is going to be judging it based on theirs, and you're going to lose very badly. So here you have two options in your first neg speech. You have to do both of these, but the order that you do them in is variable. What you have to do is you have to put in 3+ strong negative arguments that your strongest arguments that you come up with, and as many of them as you can get in, you need to put it in this speech. The reason for that is this first half of the debate, the first 3 speeches, are the only times when new arguments can be brought up. Everything after that is rebuttal. So all of the arguments that you're going to be supporting have to come in here, and they need to be strong. Now the other thing you have to do is rebut or refute the 3 constructive AF cases. So the order that you do them in is variable. You can choose to start with your own and then go on to refute. I personally think it's more effective to refute first and then go on to your own arguments, because if you refute, then you're refuting things that were said literally just before, and so they'll be fresh in everybody's mind, and you can knock them down more easily. The scary thing about doing your rebuttals first is that you want to make sure that you have the time that you need to get in all of your AF arguments, so you need to cut them down very quickly. So either way, you're going to cover both of those, your arguments and the refutal of the affirmative case. Now, you have to be careful when you flow. It's very fast. You want to be flowing every point that they're making and quickly drawing a line into your neg and writing what you're going to say to refute it. Because if you don't refute something from their speech, they get points for that, and they can extend it in their next speech. Now, that's pretty much going to take up your whole time. So then it's going to move on to the second AF speech, which is given by the second AF partner. And I'm going to go over which partner should go first and second in a little while. But here, again, you have 7 minutes. So as you can see, because it goes AF, neg, AF in the first half, it's weighted towards the affirmative side. The affirmative has a better chance of winning their round in these first speeches, and that's what they have to do. So for the second AF speech, you again have a choice. You can refute the neg case and then move on to your own, or you can start with your own and go back to the neg case. Again, same principles of deciding as I brought up before. So you want to, again, make sure that you refute everything that the negative talks about, or at least mention it. You can crystallize a little bit by combining some of their arguments if you don't have time, but you need to hit everything, otherwise you will lose points and they will extend. The other thing that you have to do is bring up 3 new constructives, 3 new arguments, and extend anything that wasn't covered, that wasn't refuted here. So of your first 3, and anything that you mentioned therein, if they don't refute it, you have to extend it. Now, you also have to put in your 3 new constructive arguments. I say 3+. If you can think of more than 3, use them. That just makes more issues for the negative. And if you can make them different, if you can find things that aren't similar to each other which support your case, it's good because that means the negative cannot crystallize against them. This is also 7 minutes. So here I've written last chance to bring up new arguments. So basically, after this point, no new arguments can be brought up in round. You can make inferences from previous arguments and extend them out for stuff that you hadn't thought of before, but nothing new, no new evidence, nothing like that. Then it moves on to the second neg speech by the second partner. Now, as you'll notice, the third neg speech is also by the first partner, but it comes next. So the neg gets a block of 2 speeches in a row in the round. This is to offset the fact that the AF gets 2 speeches in the first half and the neg only gets 1. So, in the second neg speech, you have to refute the second AF constructives right here. You should have already rebutted anything that's in the first AF speech. And then you need to extend any of the first neg arguments that weren't talked about by the affirmative in their second AF speech. Next, you want to crystallize the AF arguments. there's a bit of strategy that comes into play when you are dealing with these two neg speeches and how to fill them. Sometimes it seems impossible because you can't bring up anything new, but there's an important thing you can do. You want to crystallize the AF arguments. What that means is they're going to give 6+ arguments for their case. You want to crystallize and group them into several voting issues. So that's where you're going to leave off your speech. You're going to say, ultimately their case boils down to this, this, and this. And if we can decide on that, we can decide on the round. So that's the point of this crystallization. And what that's going to allow for is your partner to come in and take those crystallizations and knock them down. Now, you'll notice here, your time is only 5 minutes. Now, I looked it up actually, and the times vary per tournament and stuff like that, but generally it's less time. You have 5 minutes for this round. Next, it's going to move on to your partner, which is the third neg speech and the final neg speech. This is given by the first partner. So here, you're going to reiterate the crystallizations made just previously, and this is the format, like I've said. The AF case boils down to these 3 issues at the core, A, B, and C. Next, you're going to systematically destroy those, one by one, burning them and grinding their ashes into the cold, hard ground. This is your most powerful speech. You've taken everything that the AF has said and everything that they're going to be able to say that's new, and you've boiled it down into certain things, and if you can destroy those things in this speech, you win the round. Most rounds are won in this negative block. Now, also, this is the last time the neg has a chance to speak. Because of the fact that you have this strong neg block, they give the AF the last word, but they can't salvage anything if you've beaten it completely. So here you want to make a last, eloquent, resounding statement, hitting the judge in the gut with a sledgehammer of ethos, logos, and pathos, adjusting for judges. Basically what that means is emotion, logic, and ethics. And it depends on the type of judge you have, which one you want to use strongest. Like if you have a mom judge, go for emotion. If you have a coach judge, go for logic, etc. You want to hit them with all 3 though, and you want to use those to kind of, instead of being in like the drudgery of the actual debate, come out and say something that's a lot more eloquent. Now, it says beginning by discounting the AF, so you want to say, this is why the AF is wrong, but the most important thing about this statement is why you were right. So you can't just say that the AF is wrong in what they're saying, you have to say that you, in your case, is actually correct. And then you sit down smugly, you've won. So, the last AF case, again, 5 minutes. What you need to do here is salvage the round, basically. Now, again, assuming that you've done a good job as the AF, you will have a wide, varying range of arguments that the opponents will have a hard time crystallizing, and you will have extended arguments, you would have forced them to talk about a lot of things and not have time to bring up enough of their own arguments. Now, I wrote, as you can tell above, the neg block is extremely powerful, often wins the round. So the AF must win the round in the first half, basically, where they have the advantage of 2 speeches. But what you want to do is start with final refutations, so you want to prop up your own voting issues by pointing out logical fallacies and the neg's handling of your points. So when they come here and they systematically destroy using the crystallizations, you're going to want to come back and say, whoa, it sounds like they destroyed it, but really they didn't, because they were thinking logically inaccurately here, and here, and just basically refuting that. Now, as well as that, you want to make sure that everything you refute here takes a small amount of time, because you want to then go on to crystallize the neg's case. You remember that your point of the neg arguments is not simply to refute everything that the AF says. You actually have to have your own arguments specifically for why. This is where the AF speech crystallizes them and then goes on immediately to destroy them. So then you're going to make your final broad sweeping statement. Remember, as the AF, you have the burden of proof, and that means you must prove a need for change. That has to do with inherency, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So, 15 minutes. I think I'm going to move this to a new video.